Well, if there's one thing we can be accused of, it's being unreliable. And so we're reversing that trend this week by coming up, Titus, for our third show in 3 weeks against all the odds. To the point, there was somebody, one of our loyal listeners on Twitter just yesterday said, "It's okay, blokes, you've done 2 in a row. Take this week off." I thought, even our listeners are suggesting we take a week off, even though there is a fair bit to get through this week. So,
well, that's my theory. Set the bar very low.
Well, exactly.
And then delight and surprise everyone.
If you give people the least amount to look forward to, then it becomes a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, you don't want people to start taking us for granted.
And I had someone else say during the week, you don't have to announce at the start of each podcast that this is the Variety Hour podcast. We know that because we've actually gone to the trouble of downloading it.
Oh, I see what they mean.
Yeah, it's a fair point. But I'm not sure if I agree. So welcome to the Variety Hour podcast.
Well, you know what? Sometimes you just got to warm people up before you get into it. That's all we're saying. It's a good lesson for life. You don't just start off.
Yeah, you can't just come off the long run too early.
Plus, we like to give people the opportunity to go, oh, this is a Variety Hour. I meant to unsubscribe from this.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to give people, that opportunity similar to that. They were saying, oh, it's Titus and Sergio. I was meant to be listening to Hamish and Andy,
which we're often confused for, just in the looks department. We should add, we mentioned we've been plugging away this, we've been foreshadowing, I believe.
Now contracts are finally signed.
Yeah, live podcast. We've got all the details and tickets are now on sale. It's going to be 2 p.m, so it's an afternoon show. Sunday the 25th of August, 2019 at the Comics Lounge. I'll put a link in the show notes, but a live podcast should be good fun. Tickets have just gone on sale, so get in fast.
Yeah, so your chances are good for getting a good seat.
You should be.
If you can't get a good seat now, you never will.
You never will. So we've been starting to work away on what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, there'll be some of the biggest stories of the year,
isn't there?
Oh, there's been plenty going on.
Plenty of nonsense.
Yeah.
I should add on top of that, I've got a bunch of shows coming up that I'll also put a link to. So if you're in Melbourne, we've got the live podcast. But in other states...
You're touring the country, basically.
Touring the country, going all around, right off
Not with Ed Sheeran this time?
Pardon?
Not with Ed Sheeran. You're going solo this time?
Ed just got a bit clingy and I got sick of trying to build up his career. 10th of August, I'm in Canberra, so that's coming up pretty quickly. So that's at the Street Theatre, the 10th of August. So
you'll have to sling a free ticket to Barnaby Joyce because he can't afford to go himself.
I heard he's in a bit of trouble. Did you see? I think we've got this coming up, so I won't cover it off now. But we should add. Are we going to talk about Fortnite?
Yeah, I think we will certainly bring Fortnite into it
because Fortnite, the guy won $3 million this year in the World Cup playing Fortnite.
And he's a kid. He's 14, 15 years old.
I think he's 16 years old, and I thought, well, Barnaby, that's what he should be doing. He should be getting into Fortnite. That's the way to earn money. But I'm going up on. It's a Saturday night in Canberra, 10th of August, and so I'm going the night before. I think it's the Giants are playing Hawthorn in Canberra.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
So I don't think I've been to a game in Canberra before.
Game of footy in Canberra.
I've been to a Brumbies game.
Where do they play? Manuka Oval.
Yeah. I've been to a Brumbies game, but I don't think I've ever been to an AFL game. So that should be interesting. That should be fun. I think they sell okay there too.
Yeah, there's plenty of expats. There's plenty of Melbourne people up there. So
I had a friend of mine I'm going to catch up with while I'm up there said, after the game, I'll take you to an 80s bar, which I assume is just every bar in Canberra. And that's why I bring it up, because I know you know this. But they told me a terrifying thing, that this bar has espresso martinis on tap.
How does that work?
I don't know. Like, this is what we're going to find out.
Oh, gee, they're well advanced in Canberra, aren't they?
On tap.
In an 80s bar.
Are people drinking espresso martinis in such quantities that you need it on tap? I mean, obviously they are.
I guess, and the pipe goes into like a big aluminium barrel full of espresso martini.
Yeah, I mean, what? Because wine now is on tap. Barrel.
Oh, yeah,
you get wine on tap. Yeah. I've never seen bourbon and Coke on tap. I'm very keen if people have to let us know.
I reckon I saw something.
Would there be any more Aussie than bourbon and Coke on tap?
I reckon I saw something very similar up in Port Douglas, which was Bundy and Coke. on tap. Pre-mixed Bundy and Coke.
Really?
Yeah.
That would be right.
I reckon it was a pretty dodgy looking bar in Port Douglas. And I reckon it wasn't real Bundy either. I reckon it was.
Well, I'm all for hearing suggestions on my tour of where I should go out drinking, because then I'm doing the 22nd of August. I'm at the Arca Bar in Adelaide.
I just go downstairs there.
Yeah, that's easy there.
To another 80s bar.
The Comedy Store in Sydney on the August the 30th. So we all know there's no bars open in Sydney.
Yeah.
Perth, 31st of August, which is I always have a good time in Perth. I'm doing, of course, the 12th of October in Hobart and the 19th of October in Brisbane. I might find
it's like a tour of 80s bars, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. That's my aim. So that should be good fun. But the podcast is now on sale. So if you're interested in that, get on that. That should be fun.
Get on board. It's going to be a fun day, that.
Now, we should talk about one thing is if we're ever worried that the AFL are not providing us enough content, we fall back onto Cricket Australia. But then if Cricket Australia are not helping us out, we fall back on Swimming Australia, who have been delivering in absolute spades all of a sudden.
Haven't they just the last few weeks? I mean, this is the thing with swimming in Australia. You don't hear about it much.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah, it's either the Olympics where we're winning gold medals or we're not winning enough medals.
Yeah.
But then you don't hear of them for a while. And then every couple of years there's the World Championships, which is what's happened the last few weeks. Yeah. And bang, all of a sudden you're into swimming and they haven't let us down.
There's a few sports like that, aren't there? Like racing, for the majority of people, it's like spring, all in on racing. Yeah. Don't think about the rest of the year. Swimming's the same. Yeah. Like there's these sorts of seasonal.
Tennis. It's January only, really, that you
for the majority of people,
in Australia,
yeah. There's always someone at work who's like, "Oh, I stayed up to watch the French Open," and you're like, "Really?
Why?
Are you having troubles at home?" Talking of this, we had Mac Horton coming out and sort of having a go at Sun Yang.
Yeah, we discussed that last week.
Which has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've been reading up a lot about Sun Yang because some people asked me to come on and talk about it on a few programs, radio and TV, and I was like, I better find out.
Oh, you've done some research.
I better do some research.
Yeah, okay.
Because this isn't the podcast where the audience have been conditioned for absolute nonsense. Yeah. People might actually start
stupid and get
Yeah, because sometimes when I do a various radio, TV, and they ask me like serious question,
yeah.
And I kind of have to pretend to know what I'm talking about. But I do love the bit that when his most recent blood or drug test that went a bit pear-shaped where they smashed the vials with a hammer.
Yeah, see that? Yeah, that's not a good look.
Yeah, his security detail did. I also love how he bought his mum. So, who brings their mum and a hammer
to your drug
test? To a drug test. Mum, just pop into the drug test. Yeah. Because it was pre-organised and everything. Yeah. That's what I love, a surprise drug test that's organised. So anyway, that's all happened. So, of course, we all got up on our moral high horses, which I love doing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Shayna Jack.
Is it Shayna or Shayna?
Well, it's S-H. I'm just looking at it. S-A-H-A-Y-N-A.
Oh, it's one of these.
It doesn't matter.
Idiotic millennial spellings.
If you spell it like that, you roll the dice on how people pronounce it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's my theory on a lot of these.
It's like, I think Champion Data have come out with these stats that by the year 2027, every player in the AFL will be called Jaden, but with different spellings.
Because there's a lot of Jacks, a lot of Jadens.
Yeah. A few Bradens.
It's like 20 years ago, the country went all in on Jacks and Mitchells.
Yeah.
Like they just all went, let's not think too deeply on this.
Yeah. Yeah, you look at every sort of junior footy team now, there's plenty of Jacks, there's a few Mitches, Oscars. Yeah, Oscar was out of fashion for when we were kids.
There was one name, and I just cannot remember it off the top of my head, but about a year or so ago, it was a name there's some name that was really common, it's like Graham or something, right? Yeah. It's not an uncommon name, but it's fallen so out of favour. There's not a single one of them in the AFL.
I think it's Ian.
Is it? I remember they did a thing on it. It's like the first time ever almost. That and I actually
the name's gone extinct.
Yeah, they did it in the AFL. There's not a single player called this name. I cannot remember. I have to Google it, but they had Gil McLaughlin doing a live Twitter Q&A. So I said, how have you let this happen onto your watch? And he actually answered it.
Gillen.
Yeah, Gillen.
There ain't too many Gillens getting around either.
So anyway, while her name's a disgrace, look, she's been caught. It's both her A and B samples have been found to be tainted. She's saying, I've no idea how this got into my thing. Now, does any athlete ever... I say this genuinely, and I've tried to look and can't find any, but I'm sure it has happened. I do vaguely remember once or twice it's happened where an athlete gets caught and they go, I'm caught.
Yeah.
Got me.
Yeah, I'm done, dusted, red-handed.
But the problem is, let's say
I popped that to make my biceps bigger.
Yeah, I was cheating.
I'm done.
No one ever just goes, I was cheating.
Yeah.
So she's saying it could have been in a supplement.
Yeah.
Now, how much do you believe her? Because the thing is, it could be true, but it's like the boy that cried wolf. Every time we hear that, don't we?
Well, the problem for young Shayna is that the onus is now on her to prove that may have happened, which is going to be just as difficult, if not more impossible, than believing her. So, and as you say, it's a thing. It's a drug called ligandrol, which is an anabolic steroid. They use it for treating elderly patients who've had a hip replacement because it builds up your muscles again.
So this isn't some vague
This isn't
It's nominal what impact it would have. This is a real.
This isn't like those two idiots from Collingwood who snorted coke that was cut with some kind of steroid.
It was Buterol or whatever it was, and they said it was in the New Zealand beef they ate.
Yeah, it was in the steak from those dodgy New Zealand cows.
They're always shooting up in the field.
Yeah, exactly. So young Shayna, she and they've already said, ASADA have already said, well, mate, you're going to have to cop your 4-year suspension unless it will be reduced if you can prove that. Yeah, it was an accidental, dosage.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult to prove. I mean, how do you prove that?
I still don't.
The thing was, she's going to have to say, well, I had these supplements, which I thought were legal, and then they're going to have to find those supplements and prove that they were tainted with this ligandrol.
Yeah.
The whole thing sounds very sus to me.
See, what I don't understand is it was like with Warney. Warney came out when he got caught and said, I just didn't even read the lists or anything, and everyone went, oh, that sounds like Warney. But really, when you think about it, that's basically your job. You've got, if you have a job, any job, and there's something we all have jobs where there's all paperwork and stuff we don't like to do, right? And you know what we do? We try and get out of the stuff that's not that important. But the things that if I don't do this, I'm going to be sacked. So basically, if you don't control what goes into your body as an athlete, you can lose your livelihood, you can lose everything. So to me, if you're in that situation, wouldn't you just err massively on the side of caution and not take supplements?
Absolutely.
Either these supplements are being tainted all the time and it's a real problem, or they're they're lying because...
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. She's in a rock and a hard place now because, surely, this drug is used, as I said, to build up muscle.
Yeah. You
would surely think, well, we've got the world champs coming up now and then we've got the Tokyo Games next year. I need a bit more muscle in I don't know, across my shoulders or wherever. Might just hit the gym for an extra hour every day rather than trying to do it with a pill.
But, it's just amazing to me that they all say, we're taking all these other things. And it's like, it's just the risk to them is just huge. So that's if they're all telling the truth in this case. She's telling the truth, where you'd like to say, I believe her.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
maybe she is, but
the amount of times that they come out and say this and then you find out later.
Yeah.
Lance Armstrong protests he's innocent forever. How many?
For years.
How many of them? No one ever comes out and just says, oh, yeah, we probably...
I'm done here.
So anyway, it would be interesting to see. Now, there's been some talk about a cover-up around this.
But,
Swimming Australia didn't tell people and all this sort of stuff straight away. Now, the Sun Yang one was slightly different in that they had 20 days to tell WADA.
Yeah.
And they took 6 months.
Yeah.
So that was an extreme case of a cover-up. I'm trying to work out here, we're reading the conflicting reports. In some, it says ASADA have some privacy provisions, which meant Swimming Australia couldn't tell people. And so some people have written opinion pieces saying ASADA's privacy things are ridiculous.
Yes.
You got on the other side, I've seen, and you were mentioning this to me before we went on air, that some people are saying, oh, no, that's not true. They could have gone out and announced
Richard Ings,
it.
the head of ASADA, came out and said...
Former
head, saying, no, that's not true. They could have announced that as soon as they found out.
Yeah.
Who knows? Again, who's telling the truth and who's
Now,
bullshit?
to me, this doesn't strike me as a huge cover-up in that it's not like months went past. I mean, like, you know, when the Sung Yang one was 6 months, Mark Waugh, Shane Warne, when they got the bookie giving them money, was covered up for like, I think, at least 2 years, if not slightly longer. So, you know, they're true cover-ups. This, to me, didn't strike me as like, you know, a serious attempt to cover it up. But it seemed like they always were going to announce it. It was just when. And some people are saying they should have announced it slightly earlier.
It was a slight deferment of the announcement.
Yes, and I imagine like
a bit different to trying to keep it hidden from the public forever. Or, you know, in the cases you say with the two cricketers for 2 years, to the point where, oh, look, it was 2 years ago now, so nobody cares anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's indeed a cover-up. And far be it for us to come out on the side of sporting administrators as such.
I know, I feel
Swimming
dirty
Australia.
doing it.
Yeah.
Especially Swimming Australia, who have a habit of not handling things well.
No.
I did a Twitter poll online, and I said, who's worse in a crisis, Swimming Australia or Cricket Australia?
Oh, and what was the result?
Oh, Swimming Australia won by a fair margin, and I was kind of surprised.
They're in the news. People only.
You think it's
they vote on what's familiar.
A lot of people said, what about the ARU?
Yeah.
And then a lot of people said to me, well, why didn't you put Melbourne Football Club in the poll? And I was like, Melbourne aren't in a crisis. This is business as usual for Melbourne.
Well, you could argue they are in a crisis, but it's certainly one of their own making.
But also,
there's no outside influences.
How is
there.
this a crisis? Like, the anomaly was last year.
Yeah.
This year is just back to normal.
Business
like, it's
as usual.
business as usual. Like, it's in no way like
getting done every week.
So they've also had some other things. Official Rufus wrote in, should Swimming Australia have asked themselves, what would Wayne Carey do?
Well, I think we all.
I wrote a column about this in The Sun on Saturday.
Have you had any blowback from Carey? Or?
Well, for anyone that hasn't read it, when Carey came out and said Jaden Stevenson, who posted a picture of himself on, I think he was up in either Cairns or something. I'm not sure exactly where he was, up north in Queensland. He was in a pool and he posted a picture of himself on Instagram. And, of course, he's serving a ban for gambling.
Yeah.
And people said, Wayne Carey came out and said it was a terrible look and bad judgment and all this sort of stuff. And so I just laughed because
the hilarity of Wayne Carey pointing out a bad look.
What looks good and what looks bad is kind of. Some people argued with me that he has all the experience and can say these things, but I was like, he was on holidays, Jaden Stevenson, with his family, with his mum and dad. It wasn't like he was, and the club had given him permission.
Family wedding almost.
And it was like, he's banned for 10 weeks. What else is he going to do? The club were probably thrilled that he's with his family up there. Get him out of Melbourne, get his head out of it, you know, get him out of probably less likely to be in trouble.
I mean, he's up in Cairns. I mean, but
harder to bet.
He didn't post the photo of himself holding, you know, with a fistful of cash at the cane toad races. That would have been a bad look.
So I wrote this piece about how I would, you know, wasn't it great, Wayne, you know, that these were horrific pictures, and wasn't it great Wayne Carey pointed it out to us, and I always go to Wayne Carey as the great moral arbiter of what's right and wrong.
Exactly.
You know? So I haven't heard any. It got a huge response online and everything, but I don't know if it got any blowback. No. You know, who knows? I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be a badge of honour being glassed by Wayne Carey, wouldn't it?
Steve wrote in, why hasn't either TV breakfast show brought in Stephen Dank to talk about the latest swimming drug fiasco? Well, I'm sure
it didn't take long to at least bring Stephen Dank's name into this whole sordid scenario.
He will always be the one connected to the whole thing. We should add our favourite we've long talked in the past, and I talked about this on my comedy festival show. One of the great stories of all time in sport is
I love this story.
Fernando Martin, who is the Spanish guy who got a bunch of athletes who were had no impairments in any way, physically or mentally, to pretend to and play in the Spanish basketball team at the Sydney Paralympics. Yeah. And they won gold. And
they were because at the Paralympics and all these disabled international games, there's all sorts of different categories and what have you. I mean,
of how disabled you are, basically, or how
and
your
this
level
was
of impairment.
This was the mentally disabled basketball team.
Yeah, so the one he did, the Spanish did, where they faked it, is you had to have an IQ below, I think it was 85.
Yeah.
Which is the same requirement to be special comments for Channel 7 AFL coverage.
I knew there was a line coming there, but that was better than mine.
So all the people who were doing, they got 10 blokes to fake it, right? And so then with all this stuff happening around
but what happened there, that Spanish one? They
won and then they got found out because they'd hired one of the guys they'd got to fake being disabled and play in the team, and who played in all the games and including winning the gold medal, went on the podium, flew back to Spain, turned out was an undercover journalist.
Yeah.
And wrote the whole tell-all piece.
Yeah. And he was backed up with the people back in Spain saw these guys celebrating after the match with their gold medals.
Yeah.
And people watching them on the telly going, hang on.
I know that bloke.
I went to law school with him.
Right.
I think he's okay.
So it all unravelled. Now, with Swimming Australia under fire at the moment, it's also come out that a former member of the Australian Dolphins Paralympic swim team, Ashley Coburn, has came out and said that that's not the only problem they had, that there have been calls or pressure put on swimmers in the Paralympics, in the swim team, to misrepresent their disabilities in order to compete against athletes who are more severely impaired. So if you can sort of, they do things on like how the angle or rotation your arm can do, or various things like this, and they basically sort of score them on points and put you in a category. So you're competing against someone with roughly a same level of disability.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't want
makes sense. Yeah,
you don't want someone who's, not that not that disabled against someone who's very disabled. They try and balance it out, right?
Bloke missing both legs, competing against somebody with two.
And I imagine it's really hard to do, because how do you measure half these things? I imagine it's it's never completely fair, right?
Yeah.
But she says that there's been a lot of pressure to come on to sort of get people to do certain things. So she said intentional misrepresentation of your disability is not only accepted but expected. I heard athletes casually mention how they've been thrown in the snow prior to classification, so their muscles and joints were far stiffer than usual, or how they've been instructed by someone.
Not to forget that how difficult it might be for some of these guys to get out of the snow.
Well, also, why have you got snow? We're in the Bahamas. Where'd you get the snow from? She said that sometimes someone who's higher up has instructed them to throw on a limp during testing. Others bound their limbs to restrict flexibility, strength, and fine motor skills, or push themselves to physical exhaustion just before the test in order to reduce stamina and power.
I know, and there was one of them there. They said, for the cerebral palsy athletes, to clench your fist tighter.
Yeah, so they said. And some coaches taught people how to fake cerebral palsy by clenching a fist while swimming or kicking with a single leg.
So, look, exaggerating your disability to cheat and win a gold medal against somebody with a genuine disability, is that just about as low as you can go?
Well, I think it's frowned upon.
Oh. It's frowned upon.
You know what I find most amazing about some of these, right, is cheating in sport. If there are certain things where I can understand human nature and greed.
Yeah.
So you win certain sporting events. There are millions of dollars and huge amount of fame at stake.
Yep.
You know, you win the Tour de France.
Sure.
You know, you win the 100 meters at the Olympics. These are glamorous events.
Yeah, you win a handful of gold medals in the pool or something.
Yeah,
you know?
Same with tennis. All these like big money and huge adulation.
Yeah.
So you can at least understand why are people going to the trouble they're going. I do not get how much in the Paralympics, like especially the Spanish case, where what are these people thinking? There's no money tied to it. There's no fame tied to it. You're just ruining it for people who are legitimately in this situation and have found something that, gives their life enormous meaning and camaraderie. And these people come in and wreck it. It's like cheating against your kids in the backyard.
I swear I saw Dylan Alcott jogging the tan the other day.
You constantly casting dispersions at Dylan. So, it's amazing, isn't it, though? Like, it's just the logic behind it, the fact that people go, this is what I'm going to cheat on.
A disability. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. It's like deliberately severing a limb. You go, I tell you what,
But do you think...
I'm pretty quick, but I'm not quick enough to beat Usain Bolt. But if I cut off my left arm, I probably will win the 100 metres.
The only other thing I can think of, though, is like it's easy to get on our high horses, but say I was, at work, how often when you're working somewhere do you try and, pretend you're busy or something to get out of doing certain stuff? Is it just that mindset where you go, if I don't do too well in this test, like say you're legitimately, are disabled and you're like, if I don't do well, I go in the slightly easier categorization.
Yeah.
Is that just the mindset that we all bring to life?
I think that's a true Australian trait. To be honest.
It's a bit like Kerry Packer said, if you're not minimising your tax, you're an idiot. Is it like if you're not minimising your disability classification, you're an idiot? Is that kind of the mindset?
There's a fair bit of that, and it's like it reminds me of. I mean, we don't want to glamorise gambling or what have you, but Sportsbet's TV commercials at the moment have one of the all-time great slogans. It's the least you can do.
Yeah.
Now, if that hasn't got the Australian way of life written all over it, I don't know what has.
So anyway, I don't know whether all this is true yet about this, but it does seem like Swimming Australia is not handling things well. We'll see how they go. We've had a bunch of other stuff going on at the moment. In terms of, we might just actually cover off quickly because this is kind of interesting, and you know a fair bit about this. There's the big, I think it's 2 nights, big game of basketball at Marvel Stadium.
Games,
50,000 people in attendance, all this sort of stuff. It was the Australian Boomers against the USA. So it was meant to be a huge thing. Now, it started to sort of wobble a bit where Ben Simmons pulled out.
Well, it was wobbling. It was wobbling well before that because when they announced this, it was going to be like the first time an American representative team's come out to play in Australia.
And all the NBA stars.
And all the NBA stars are going to be there. And basketball is having a huge resurgence in Australia at the moment, the last couple of years with the NBL and what have you. Yeah. And Ben Simmons has got a lot to do with that. And it is virtually the number one sport with kids around the country. So when they said the American NBA stars are coming out, naturally they were throwing up photos and what have you of LeBron James and Steph Curry and Kevin Durant and all these guys, and to play against the Boomers.
Yeah, so I saw that and everyone was thinking, why wouldn't you? We'd love to go watch them.
Yeah.
You thought it was going to be huge, yeah.
And that's why they booked it into Marvel Stadium instead of, say, Rod Laver.
Yeah.
Because they'll be able to get 50,000 there. Although, to be honest, I really wouldn't want to go to a basketball match if you had to sit 100 metres away from the court. Really.
Oh, it's like the WWE at the MCG.
Yeah.
It's like...
You sit in your expensive seat watching the big screen.
Yeah. You're so far away.
Yeah. And see what, and as you say, it was wobbly early. And then, your big guns, James Harden and LeBron James, Kevin Durant, these guys, they were never coming. They'd never committed.
But it was promoted like they were.
It was. And so people are rushing out.
So who is coming for the Americans? You got Lowry. Kyle, that's it.
That's about the only one.
Of all the people
Kemba
Walker.
They
promoted.
Yeah. they're about the only two reasonably big names. The other players, they're all NBA players, so they're all pretty good basketballers.
Yeah, but it's not the.
But it's not.
It's not like the dream team coming.
It's not the dream team, and it's not what thousands of people have gone. What I've just paid $495 a ticket for.
Yeah, so the seats are. There were seats that even like really far away were $275.
That's in level 2 at Marvel, and you got to remember, and the court's going to be out in the middle of what's normally the footy oval.
Yeah.
So you're a long way from the action. $300 a seat, and as I say, kids going and parents, it becomes a pretty expensive exercise for the whole family.
Oh, it's fortune! It's absolute fortune
because you cut the grand, and just yesterday I saw they're still trying to sell $17,000. You get your own private box there for $17,000 plus. It costs you another $300 per person to get in there.
So really, there's no real stars now. I mean, Ben Simmons not going takes a lot of the firepower out of
the boomers. Do you really want to pay $500 to watch Matthew Dellavedova go head to head with a bloke from the Boston Celtics you've never heard of? I don't know. It's starting to fall apart.
Yeah, I know.
And there's a big groundswell of people wanting their money back already. Now, of course,
got class action written all over.
The promoters, have said, just read your fine print.
Oh, kids, I know. I love that. Read the T&Cs, but it's like, well, hang on. It's more like you could say, well, it's false advertising.
Oh, it is. It's completely misleading. And it was only in the last couple of days where people really, after the Ben Simmons announcement, that people really got upset and said, you better change your marketing, because still they're sending out doing these ads with all these big superstars all over it.
Yeah. It's mate, the tickets are a fortune. At I was looking at going to a game at Etihad the other day, or Marvel the other day, and Melbourne were playing, so I got a membership and everything. Would normally go through that or something, and I just was looking around, and I did best available sort of thing as you do, and. For a seat on level 2, for one adult, guess how much it was for a normal AFL game?
I wouldn't have a clue.
$70.
Yeah.
So there's level 1, there's the top for general admin and all that, but $70 for a single seat and it wasn't a big game, a home and away game at Marvel
Stadium
is insane.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And I'm a Melbourne supporter complaining about this. But you know what I mean?
Lucky we never have to pay to go.
I almost fell off my expensive chair. It was amazing. So, the basketball ones are crazy. I looked at this when it was announced.
Yeah.
And I thought, will I go, and see some of these players? And I was highly suspicious.
Yeah.
Unless they're contractually obligated to be there.
Yeah.
I was like, the odds of them all coming.
Exactly.
It's a bit like, it's what would happen if they, whenever they talk about doing state of origin in an AFL, or it's like what happened with AFLX. Yeah, all the big players are going to play.
Or suddenly you'll get a dodgy knee the week before.
Yeah. Oh, I've got hamstring twinge. I've got hamstring awareness.
From this basketball thing, my two boys are basketball mad.
Yeah.
And when they announced this, I said to them, geez, we want to get tickets for this? We'll have to go. And my old time goes, they'll never turn up. He was the one who said,
the cynicism of youth. Good on him.
I've taught him to be cynical at an early age. And he was quite right.
I went and looked and thought, all right, I'll have a look and see the packages and everything. And I was like, this is prohibitively expensive.
Yeah.
I don't care enough to go. Plus, so sometimes you look at an event and go, oh, look, I'm not going to buy gold seats or whatever, but I'll just grab the cheap ones because they're not that expensive and I can go. The cheap ones were so expensive. I'm talking up the top. They're like $275. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm looking at it going, I'm not sitting up the top of Marvel to watch.
You're 100 metres from the basketball court.
And expensive. It wasn't like it was
See, and you go, look, if I'm sitting absolute courtside with my feet on the actual wood, it's worth a few $100, no problem. But as you say, not up on the first level at Etihad.
Yeah. Be interesting to see if anything legal does come out of this.
Or what happens.
Because T's and C's are fine, but it doesn't. You can't, just because you've got something in your T's and C's doesn't mean the law doesn't apply to you. So
and I reckon when it gets real close to game time, suddenly these tickets will be $20 each.
I had a feeling like if it doesn't sell, like how often do these events suddenly, you go, it's going to be hard to get, and then suddenly, like in the week leading it, you get offered them about 30 times.
Yeah. Or you get offered them, or the promoters suddenly do this thing. More tickets have just been released. I said, no, they haven't just. They've been on sale for 6 months. They haven't just been released.
Yeah, we suddenly found all these tickets. Now, Eddie Maguire, we always love to hear Eddie's thoughts on things. He's come out and it's been described as a revolutionary idea for umpiring of AFL games.
I know. He came out with this yesterday on his radio show on Triple M.
Obviously wanting to move on from the Adam Goods doco.
I think he'd tossed this up at the big president's meeting last week with Gil McLaughlin.
That would have been well met, I imagine, in the room. Thanks, Eddie.
Well, so this is one of the things you've got to admire about Eddie, is that most blokes, given what his part of the Adam Goods saga and the documentary.
And the footy show decline, and there's a whole bunch of things.
You'd probably just sit in the back corner and say not much.
Yeah.
Except if you're Eddie.
Yeah, and then instead he's like,
he's taken over
keep doing what I've been doing. It's got to start working again. He announced that there should be get rid of goal and boundary umpires altogether, and have 8 field umpires stationed in zones around the ground, 2 on the goal lines. Yeah. All 8 would be able to make decisions, pay free kicks, judge goals, and throw the ball back into play. There would only be 1 in the forward 50, 2 on the defensive side. 1 would ball it up. As the ball moves up and down, I'm not even understanding this as I read it, by the way. So if you're not following it at home, don't feel bad. As the ball moves up and down the ground, so do the umpires. So he's saying it takes away the umpire's need for running and aerobic fitness. Yeah. Which I'm for any proposal that says that. He said you would always remove the touch off the boot rule. So it would just count as a goal.
As he said, if it may have, if the ball has hit somebody's fingertip, you can never be 100% sure. And if a player didn't smother it properly, well then so what? If it's gone through the big sticks, it should be a goal.
I actually really don't have a problem with that one.
Yeah, I've got no argument with that at all.
That's to me like one of the more sensible suggestions
we've heard on. Perfectly good sense.
Because we saw this week the video review to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I know someone will get it improves some things, but to me, like, the game, this is the thing, the game was fine for 100 years plus, and now everyone's suddenly acting like, if we don't do it. And how bad is the video review?
Oh, exactly.
I mean, and then they brought in Steve Hocking, is saying, I'm going to fix it. I'm like, but it's your system. Why would we have any faith?
Yeah, in you doing anything, yeah.
Like, the guy that stuffed it up is coming in and going, oh, well, I'll fix this up, guys.
Yeah. Just leave it to me.
Just give me another shot, guys.
Yeah.
Everything I've done, I've stuffed.
Yeah, but no, it'll be all sorted by the finals. Don't worry about it. Just trust me.
What do you think of Eddie's idea to have 8 field umpires?
I don't mind the idea in that they cover off zones and they just sort of probably don't have to get out of a walk basically at any stage.
Yeah,
and there's enough of them to make all the decisions.
I've never understood why the the boundary umpires do so little.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same in, they just do. But then I also have the problem where the more umpires we have, with the significant amount of grey area interpretation on laws that the AFL always keep bringing in and changing all the time, that you're suddenly going to get 8 different types. Instead of 3, you're going to get 8 different types of,
different interpretations.
And it's just going to be an even greater mess.
Yeah. But one of the things that Eddie is saying is that it will lengthen the careers of the good umpires.
Yeah, I'm not against it. It's just in some ways I can really see the logic of it, and I actually think we got to the point where I think like we're blaming the umpires so much because I was at Melbourne St Kilda, and the Saints actually in the first half were on the end of some horrendous,
they were
like decisions, and then Melbourne had a few against them too, but it was just there was just a lot. And this year I've noticed the umpiring so much. And my theory is it's not the umpires. The game is so hard to now.
Yeah.
And it's mainly the AFL's fault. I mean, they have to remember like the 7-7 rule now. It's all weird around hands in the back. Like it's not the clarity that was there.
Yeah. That's why I reckon, and until it's tried out, that the Eddie's system.
Yeah.
It may or may not work. You'd obviously if it was trialled, you'd find a few holes in it, no doubt.
Yeah.
But I reckon for all the reasons you just spelled out, it's probably not a bad thing to have a revolutionary rethink of the whole umpiring system because because they're talking about having a fourth umpire and rotating them during the day and just throwing extra umpires onto the ground doesn't seem to be doing it.
Well, the AFL's go-to thing is just more umpires.
Yeah.
Which brings us to this next story.
Yeah.
An umpire proposed to another umpire after Carlton had defeated Adelaide, which was a disgrace from the Crows, we have to say.
Yeah, they were shocking.
They were absolutely terrible. Boundary umpire Dylan T got down on the knee in the middle of the ground after the game and proposed to his girlfriend, field umpire Eleni Gluftis. Eleni, sorry.
Yeah.
Because Gary Lyon got in trouble this week. It was misheard.
Yeah.
Someone thought he said that lady.
That lady, and he was saying Eleni.
Yeah. Easy mistake to make. He was actually doing the right thing, Gary. And she said yes. They did it in the middle of the game. That's what you want to be proposed to at your workplace?
Yeah. And is this just another example of poor decision making by the umpires?
I also thought, well, this is typical. Like when they're now breeding umpires, this is the AFL at its absolute worst. It was funny because a few people thought this happened before the game, which it didn't.
No, it was well after.
Because imagine that happening before the game, and they said no, and then had to work together.
And then she walks out, holds the ball up to the siren. He's sobbing on the boundary. Yeah, you reckon they introduced the video review system on the wedding night?
Yeah, perfect.
She touched it. No, she didn't.
Anyway,
good luck to
him. I did enjoy some people got really upset about it for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, for that reason alone, I'm glad they did it.
Others got really happy.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, I think it's different. You don't have to get really happy. You don't need to be really for or really against everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I've learned.
There are some things that can just
We don't enough say, I don't care.
Yeah.
This is my theory on, this is the saddest thing. This is something I do care about. It's about not caring. Remember growing up, no one gave a rat's about the national anthem or singing it.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you go to a one day or something and if they played it?
Yeah.
No one sang it.
Yeah, no.
In fact, we all looked awkward, like this is awkward.
Yeah, so
we're not American, we used to be. Like, this is...
I think it's a very Australian thing not to sing it or really care what the lyrics are.
Yeah, and now people really care.
Yeah.
And you're like...
Apathy is underrated, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree more. I get quite excited about apathy.
Don't overdo your agreement.
I get quite excited about apathy. I think we need more of it.
Well, yeah, you're getting a bit too enthusiastic.
So two umpires getting married,
apathetic.
It's like, do you think this is a good or bad thing? I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't care. I think it would be a very short radio program if we ever become shock jocks.
Yeah.
I don't think you can just say I don't care.
No, you have to sort of brutally exaggerate your
position on everything. I don't know. I don't think some of them exaggerate. I think that's actually how they operate.
Yeah.
They're just that full on all the time.
Yeah. So good luck to Eleni and Dylan. I do wonder about the potential longevity of that union, though, given that she's a field umpire and he's a lowly boundary umpire who doesn't do much.
There's a class system in the umpiring. I know.
There's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
There is,
He's not even, are they really even umpires?
Yeah. And there was a great photo I saw taken from a certain angle when he was down on one knee where you could read the Specsavers logo perfectly clearly on the back of his shirt.
Now, we'll do AFL news just quickly since we're on AFL. We talked about Adelaide. I mean, Don Pyke, it's amazing for a team that's in 8th. They're still in 8th position and could play finals.
Yeah.
You would think they were last on the ladder the way...
They are playing poor footy at the moment.
And they are playing that bad. I can understand the pressure, but it's like the Crow supporters have already written this year off when this... It's rare that a team that's in 8th
has the
vitriol.
Yeah. I reckon they've they've exacerbated their own problems at Adelaide by dropping players all the time and big names. You know, Eddie Betts last week, and Gibbs and Jenkins and these guys. They drop them, and by doing so, it's sort of it looks a bit panicky from outside.
Do you think Don Pyke knows what he's doing?
I don't know, but the thing they're saying is that Don Pyke will not be sacked by Adelaide because he's just signed a recent new contract, and if they do sack him, it will cost the club $3 million to pay him out.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether he knows what he's doing or not, but I will say he's probably vastly overpaid if it's going to cost him $3 million to get rid of him.
Well, this is like Ross Lyon. They can't sack basically here because it's too much.
Yeah.
There are other clubs that have re-signed people early, like Melbourne, and Goodwin is a fantastic example of this, where you go, why the rush? I mean, I understood after Buckley turning his coaching career around, although you could see that last year was an anomaly and now we're back to normal. But I think that's not fair because I think the injuries have nobbled Collingwood. But after Hardwick, who struggled for so long, finally won a premiership, they all went, never sack a coach. Yeah. Now, that's changed a bit this year.
It has.
But I didn't understand, like, the flip side of that too. Not only do we never sack a coach, we rush to extend coaches based off very little evidence.
I can
when
never
we don't
quite...
have to. Like Goodwin, they could have waited to see what happened this year. Pyke, I think they could have waited a bit. He hadn't been shooting the lights out.
Yeah,
I mean, they did make that grand final, but they didn't play in it.
Why clubs, A, as you say, rush to extend coaches' contracts, or B, give them long-term contracts. I reckon if you're running an AFL footy club, you're in charge, whether you're president or the CEO. I reckon 2 years max on every coaching contract.
Well, I suppose it depends. I mean, if you've got an Alistair Clarkson, there are a few that break the mould where you'd go...
Sure, but then you've still got time. You go, he's flying this year.
Yeah, but you don't want to... You don't want him to... they don't want him to leave. This is the problem. The biggest problem the club boards have is, I think the hardest decisions the coach, it panics them because you get it wrong and you're screwed. You get it right.
And you're right. I mean, if you do get a good one and they're on short
the problem
contracts.
is I think they've done it to some where they haven't yet quite proven that they're worth that amount of stuff, or they just rush it. You could wait. They could wait a few months, wait a bit into the new season, see how it's going. It still drives me nuts that Carlton aren't ticking off on David Teague, and we keep hearing that he's actually a long shot.
Yeah,
I heard
I'm hoping
just
yesterday.
People don't know what they're talking about.
Well, it looks like Rhys Shaw is going to get the job at North, I think, in the next couple of days, and fair enough. But David Teague, I mean, if he doesn't get the job, he's surely going to have to get out of Carlton because if I was David Teague, I'd say, what else have I got to do?
But this is the thing about Teague, right? If the risk Carlton needs putting Carlton in is if they don't take him and the next person struggles at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like...
We had the guy right here.
And people keep saying to me, I've spoken to several people about this in the footy world, and I say to them, they sort of talk down to me, which is how they normally talk to me, not just about this topic, but they say, what you're not understanding, Titus, is like Carlton are a premium club, a big club, got a proud history. They can't just put in someone they've done it with Bolton and they've got to go and get the best out there. And I'm like, oh, no, they're not. Like, no offense to Carlton, the fans they've got a huge fan base, and the fans have surprisingly, and I give them credit, stuck fat through terrible hard times. But Carlton haven't been a dominant club for 20 years since the mid-90s.
David Teague may end up being the greatest coach of all time.
I know.
He could be the next Clarkson.
Yeah, but so you look at it and go, and then I look through and go, well, okay, what are your options? Right? Well, there's a few that are floated around. Ruse is floated around. Ruse doesn't probably want to coach, is what everyone says, but could come in as a football director. So I've heard the one they keep coming back to is they thought if we announce Ruse as coaching sort of director with Voss as coach. Now, sorry, Voss was at Brisbane. It was horrendous. Now, I know he was young and new. Port Adelaide have not exactly been just shooting the lights out.
Yeah.
So the idea that, I don't see where Voss gets any... Like, he was a great player, but I don't see why Voss is desirable in any way, shape or form. Now, he could prove everyone wrong. He could be great, but I don't get the...
The whole romance of Voss is simply, as you say, he was a better player than David Teague.
Yeah, but
so
that's
what?
rarely ever the half the players will.
David Teague is a better player than you and I. You know?
But half the great, like, who was better than Alistair Clarkson? A heap of players.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So I look at that and I don't understand. So then you go, well, Alistair Clarkson, they keep talking that up. Well, his manager's come out again, so this is just not happening. And, you know, look, it could happen. And look, if you can get Clarkson, I'd understand Clarkson over Teague, but it's not.
And now they're talking Ross Lyon back to St Kilda, or even Ross Lyon to Carlton.
Yeah, and I just look at that. Then you go, well, Brad Scott, I mean, that keeps coming up. You go, would you take Brad Scott over Teague? I mean, you'd be mad.
You wouldn't.
So I don't understand what is going on there. I'm hoping the footy commentary, all the commentators on it who are saying all this stuff are just wrong. But I mean, what more does Teague need to do? I mean, it's been an astounding turnaround. The players like him. Cripps said he wants him. I mean, if I was the Carlton board and Cripps said...
If Cripps said he's our guy, I'd say done. Sign here.
I mean, because I reckon Cripps is the best player in the league.
Oh, he was magnificent against Adelaide.
But I reckon he's the best. I can't think who... I mean...
Well, consistently, even when Carlton were absolute rubbish earlier this year.
Who would be as good as Cripps? You know, if we're talking about who's the best player in the AFL at the moment.
This year, possibly Fyfe. He's had his best year since he won the Brownlow.
Yeah.
But I don't reckon you could put another player ahead of Cripps this year.
No.
Especially
Dangerfield hasn't been
he was dominant and brilliant early in the season when Carlton were an absolute rabble.
And some of their wins, he's single-handedly
got them over the line.
Like, I mean, he's an absolute freak. So I don't get the thing. They talk of Eddie Betts going back to Carlton.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think...
Not as a player.
Well, I think it'd be a bad move by Carlton. You need a farewell tour from Eddie.
I'd love Eddie to get back to form, but sometimes with those players who are these, they're incredibly fast, dynamic players. When it goes fast.
Yeah.
That was my excuse. Just happened when I was 6. Essendon nearly robbed by another dodgy goal umpiring error.
Oh, see, this was a possibly good thing.
This never went to a TV review.
No, the umpire just called it as
play on. It was knocked back into play, but it was way over the line.
Yeah, it was at least close to a metre over the line.
That really, the story there for me is that goal umpire.
Yeah,
missed an absolute howler.
Yeah, that goal umpire should be back in the VFL next week.
Yeah, that was absolutely terrible. Snert Underpant wrote in, given his technological proficiency, should the AFL offer the kid who won $3 million playing Fortnite a job as a video review officer?
well, why wouldn't you? I mean, this kid's obviously an absolute whiz kid when it comes to, as you say, all matters on a TV screen. And
it can't be any worse than whoever games they're using at the moment.
Well, exactly, whoever. But are they going to have this central bunker system?
Yeah, they say they will.
Well, Steve Hocking says it'll be by the finals.
Well, yeah, but for him, up and running doesn't mean working. They've had the other one up and running for years and it doesn't work still. That's
a good point.
It's not really The problem is, too, the angles are always weird. It's not like, it's a bit different than some other sports. They've never really got it right. I mean... I just would scrap it until you can figure out a way to put a microchip in the ball and have sensors in the posts.
Yeah, or you have, and I was talking to a guy who is pretty good at stuff like this. He reckons the best way to do it, and exactly why the AFL will never consider it, as he says, you've got to have 4 cameras. They can be small, like GoPro size, but you have one at the bottom of each goalpost and one halfway up each goalpost. And he said, then you get 4 pieces of vision, which with the right software, you can get a 3-dimensional readout or feed as to where the ball is in relation to that the line, the plane. Because you hear this in the NFL, whether it's a touchdown or not, whether the ball has crossed the plane.
Yeah,
he said this is quite
you could create
feasible to do it. He said, but it would be expensive.
Oh, well,
so there you go. So
you can't when you're paying for other things.
No, you just
got junkets overseas.
You just gaffer tape an old VHS camera to the.
You can have the Gold Coast Suns or a score review system that work, but not both. Well, we would like the goal review system. Suns it is. VB announced a VB flavoured tea for the Ashes, which is starting tomorrow night. A pack of tea is going to be $10, which is the cost of a pot of real beer at Marvel Stadium. Did you add that bit?
Yeah, I think I added that bit.
What do you think of... It's not alcoholic, it's just VB flavoured tea. We need to get some of this to try it, surely.
Oh, I think so. I'm going to buy some just to keep in the bar. But my thought, if this is to commemorate the Ashes, what's wrong with VB flavoured VB?
Well, a lot of people don't like VB flavoured VB.
But yeah, VB flavoured tea, I'm not convinced.
They've come up with everything, don't they?
Yeah.
Now, someone else announced. You put this here in regards to drugs taking. We were talking about drugs earlier. A Colombian cyclist has won the Tour de France,
and wasn't he pedaling real quick?
That's just perfect.
Yeah, it was only a matter of time before some youngster from Colombia took all that pent up energy and jumped on a bike.
We got a few questions that came in. Rodder's Head, how do I get a refund to a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see second-rate NBA players at Marvel Stadium? Asking for 55,000 friends. Was it sold out?
No, it's not sold out yet because they are Marvel Stadium are pushing very hard at the moment to sell more tickets.
Right, so it's obviously
and they're struggling.
I thought it was priced horrendously high.
Yeah.
And then you also have the fact that now no one is coming as well. So I think a lot of people held off too. Like your son, they were smart and go, they'll probably never come. Let's
see who is playing.
Yeah.
I mean, the Australian team, is a good team. They're all NBA players.
Yeah.
Except for, say, Chris Goulding, who's not far off that standard.
Yeah.
But as soon as Ben Simmons, walked,
what's the point?
Yeah.
Hong Kong Footy wrote in, did you know that the Melbourne Football Club is an acronym of the Melbourne Comedy Festival?
I think he meant anagram, not an acronym. And it's not strictly true, but I get the point that he's trying to make.
No, I don't think it works at all because there's nothing funny about Melbourne. I tell you what, I was at that. Did you go to the Saints game?
No, I just watched it.
I went to that.
I don't do Marvel.
I just knew we were going to lose.
Yeah.
It was absolutely I tipped us to lose too, but it was just, this season, it is just an absolute disgrace. I found myself agreeing with both. It's so bad, I've found myself agreeing in the last 2 weeks with both Danny Frawley and Gary Lyon. Which is just...
It's unheard of.
It's unheard of. How they are talking about this like it is in any way not a disgrace. And it's the worst performance of the year, surely. By any team.
And it's probably the biggest fall in performance by any team for years. They were one game out of the grand final last year.
Yeah.
And this year they've won 5 games and lost 13.
And it's the way. They've only just won some of those games and they've never looked even. They just look absolutely hopeless. And in now, every sense.
And you think back to their last win and given what's happened since, you go, how did they beat Carlton? Can't believe they beat Carlton.
They were lucky to beat Carlton.
Yeah.
That was the thing. They were lucky to beat Hawthorn.
And now Sam Wiedemann's out for the rest of the season.
From his concussion. He got concussed.
Yeah. He got concussed and they've just found out that there was something to do with his jawbone as well. Oh. Not like a broken jaw, but there's something in there they're going to have to work on. So, mate, you're done for the next 5 games.
He was relieved.
Yeah. Don't have to do this anymore.
It's easy. Because when you think about it, if the Gold Coast Suns are a unique situation, really.
Yeah.
I know, but so they're sort of bottom of the ladder, but they're barely an AFL side in terms of talent and stuff like that. So for Melbourne, the only thing I can think of is, really, you look at all these names and there are all these Melbourne players that were meant to be really going somewhere. You would say that every single one, barring one or two, I'd say Max Gawn and maybe one or two others, has gone backwards this year.
Yeah.
No one has gone forward.
Max Gawn and maybe Clayton Oliver have been good this year.
This year, yeah.
Brayshaw came third in the Brownlow last year. He was like an Apollo vote this year.
Yeah.
He's been awful. You've got guys on at the tail end of their career, Jordan Lewis, Nathan Jones.
Well, they're saying Nathan Jones is going to get another year.
Yeah, but they offered him another year on a greatly reduced salary, which I don't think he was too keen about. But they'll come to terms. He'll play next year. But then you've got the next level of players at Melbourne who just went nowhere this year. your Neil Bullens and blokes like this, and Spargo was supposed to be great. Hannon. I mean, I guess the last few weeks, Bailey Fritsch has come good.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, as a performance by a football club, there hasn't been a bigger fall from grace that I can remember.
The difference between people's perception of how good that midfield is and how it actually plays is so huge.
Yeah.
You look at it and you can name so many midfields that have just smashed them this year.
Yeah.
So they're just not that good. They're just not.
No.
You know, you can talk about it any other way, or they're just not that good.
Brayshaw's been no good. Jack Viney hasn't been great this year.
Yeah.
I mean, as I say, Oliver's
Harms hasn't
good.
had as good a season as he did
Harms
last
hasn't been as
year.
good as last year. You know, Lewis has finished.
Paul Minogue wrote in, on a scale of 1 to Alex Rants, how bad was Mark Blitzart's staging effort?
It wasn't bad. Did you see it?
No.
Oh, he got fined $1,000 for
I don't think I saw it. I missed this one.
Yeah, I can't remember the player who did it to him.
Yeah.
But he threw out his hand right at his face while he was standing on the mark.
Yeah.
And Blitzars hit the deck like he'd just been belted,
really?
by Jeff Horn. And he got up straight away trying to get the 50. And the umpire, to his credit, had gone, no,
I'm not that.
He missed you by about a foot. And so he got fined. Michael Christian fined him $1,000.
The proposal in the middle of the ground was more violent than this. Stephen Maloney wrote, why doesn't Shazam recognise the music at the start of this podcast?
That's a very good question, Steve. I think that says more about, Shazam than it does about... Shazam's yesterday's app.
Oh,
Stephen.
really?
Yeah, I think so.
What do you use now? Have you moved on?
I used to use Shazam a fair bit.
Yeah.
But I found out you end up spending too much money on new songs.
Oh, what, because you then buy them?
Yeah, you go, that's a good song. And then I've worked out how to download them free and illegally. I don't worry about that so much.
Yeah, that's a good story. Good lesson for the kids.
Yeah, that's for another podcast.
Now, who do you want to give the book to? Your choice this week.
My choice this week.
Now we'll bring it home.
We won't give it to Snert Underpants because I think he's already won a couple.
Oh, right.
I reckon we'll give it to Rodders. Asking about he may have done his dough.
He's asking for
buying basketball tickets, so a free book won't go astray.
Well, Rodders, we'll be in touch. We need your address and basically where to send it to, but either get in touch or we'll get in touch with you, and we will be back next week.
We will indeed.
We'll see you then.